Hey everybody. So this month we've been working on backbending. And I mentioned this last week. If you're with me, backbending is a really great way to maintain a nice, strong posture and mobility in the spine as you get older, especially as a way to counteract all the sitting that we do in our modern postural lives. Um, and so we're going to spend a few more weeks on backbending, looking at different variations of backbending because there's so many different ways to backbend. It's not really one size fits all, but you might find, oh, I really like that practice, and you can always come back and revisit it, even on a daily basis, just as kind of like general maintenance for strengthening those muscles around the spine, the erector spinae. And so to start off, we're going to lay down on our bellies and we're going to work towards Dhanurasana, which is bow pose, which we'll do on our bellies later on in our practice. And for that, it's kind of nice to have a pillow or a couch cushion or a bolster if you have it at home. It's not required, but if you do have that and you want to just set it off to the side for when we get there, it might be nice to have, and I'll show you how to use it. But to start off, we're going to lay down on our bellies. If it's comfortable, you can stack your hands right underneath your forehead and just let your forehead rest on your hands. We'll just take a few breaths here. And so you're already, as you lie down here on your belly, putting your spine into a little tiny baby back bend. And the part of the spine that's back bending for most of us is typically the lumbar spine, the lower back. So you might just take a moment here to notice how the low back feels. It's the most mobile, one of the most mobile parts of the spine. It typically bears the most weight for the body, and so it's just more prone to injury because of that mobility and weight bearing. So I just want to check in, see how it feels today. Let's take about 3 more breaths here. One important muscle group when back bending with integrity for the whole spine are the hamstrings. And so we're going to start off by seeing if we can fire up those hamstrings, and we'll just go ahead and start bending that left knee. And so the sole of the left foot's pointing up towards the ceiling. Can you press the foot up a little bit, like you're going to press that foot into the ceiling? See if you can feel your hamstring muscle turn on that left side. And then relax, extend that left leg out long. The upper body doesn't really need to do any work right now. It can just stay as is. Start bending your right knee. Flex that right foot. Press the foot up a little bit. You might feel the hamstring engage. Maybe a little bit of the glute engages. And then re-extend the right leg. And then again, left leg, left knee bends. Press the foot up. Re-extend. Right knee bends. Press that right foot up. And extend. We'll do this twice more each side. Just moving left side, right side. Last round, bending the left knee and bending the right knee. Okay, so now we're going to layer on the upper back or thoracic spine by coming into Sphinx pose. So we're going to press down through the elbows, bring the forearms to parallel with one another, and extend the fingertips forward. And you can see, if you take a peek at me, my elbows are forward of my shoulders. Okay, and so I want my elbows at least forward of the shoulders, if not underneath the shoulders, but we don't want them behind the shoulders. So elbows forward or underneath shoulders, but not behind the shoulders. And then go ahead and press down through the fingertips, lift the chest up. So press down through fingertips, lift up through the chest, and then see if you can feel this action of pulling the shoulder blades towards the spine. So can you start to feel that back bend a little bit more in the upper back? And then bend that left knee. It might not bend as far, but can you press the sole of the foot up towards the ceiling? Feel the hamstring. Re-extend that left leg. And then bend the right knee, press the foot up towards the ceiling. So this action might get a little bit smaller. Depends on the mobility in your joints and the ability of your muscles to engage and fire to create this movement. One more time each side, left leg, and then right leg. And then last little bit of prep work here on the belly. We'll take that right forearm and angle it across the top of your mat. So right hand moves towards the left hand, press down through there, bend your left knee, reach your left hand back with your outer, grab for the outer ankle. Okay, so left hand's grabbing for the outer ankle. And then turn the left chest forward, press the floor away with that right hand. And if you don't have the mobility to reach back and grab the ankle, that's okay. Just bend the knee, reach back, even if you're not holding on to anything. And then we'll come back to Sphinx. So left forearm angles across the top of the mat. Press down into that hand. So you're not dumping into that left shoulder. You're actually pressing the floor away. Bend the right knee. Reach back with the hand. Grab the outer ankle if it's there. And then turn that right chest forward towards the top of the mat. And again, if the hand to foot connection doesn't happen, it's okay. You're just bending the knee and reaching back with the hand. Let's release out of that side. Bring the palms underneath the shoulders, press up to tabletop. And we'll start to move through some cat-cow. So just go ahead and move through cat and cow on your own. Notice the breath here. And then notice the whole length of the spine. How does it feel from the tip of the tailbone to the crown of the head? And now we're going to do some scapular push-ups. So the arms stay straight. So you're not going to bend at the elbows. Okay, the arms are going to stay straight. You're going to press the floor away. And then the chest is just going to move down towards the mat. And the scapula will move in towards the spine. So it's just the chest. And then as you press the floor away, arms stay straight and the scapula spread away from the spine. So maybe if that's not making sense, just watch me here first. See how my arms are staying straight. My shoulder blades move towards my spine. And then I press the floor away and my scapula move away from my spine. My shoulder blades move away from my spine. So it's really the upper back that we're trying to mobilize. And if you haven't joined me yet, go ahead in your tabletop. Just mobilizing the shoulder blades. That's the only thing that's really moving. Okay, for those of you that want a little bit more intensity, you can extend the legs back into plank pose and try these scapular push-ups here. So again, elbows are not bending, arms are straight. And it's just a really small movement. Shoulder blades in, chest moves down, shoulder blades spread, chest moves away from the mat. Okay, if you're in that high plank, knees back to the mat. Now just extend your right leg back. Your left knee is going to stay down on the mat. We're going to come into a supported side plank. Right arm's going to reach up. Okay, supported side plank. So left knee is down, right leg is extended back. And then I'm turning my right hip towards the ceiling. So I'm stacking my hips open and extending my right arm up and overhead. Actively press the floor with that left hand. Deep breath in, reach up through that right hand. And then as you exhale, bend the right elbow behind you like you're going to do a backstroke. So the scapula is moving towards the spine here again. So scapular retraction and protraction. Right arm reaches up. And then exhale, bend the elbow. And you feel that shoulder blade moving towards the spine. Twice more. Inhale, reach up with the right arm. And then bend that right elbow. One more time here. Good, and then second side, so right palm back to the mat, right knee back to the mat, left leg extends behind you. You're gonna spin that left hip open, supported side plank on the second side. Right hand is your base, right knee is down on the mat, left leg is extended back behind you, hips are stacked open. Left arm's reaching up, deep breath in. And then exhale, bend that left elbow, squeeze the shoulder blade towards the spine. Inhale, re-extend. Exhale, bend the elbow. And just start to move this with your breath. Stay actively pressing through that right hand. So you're not collapsing into the right shoulder, but there's a nice long line from the neck all the way to the floor. One more time, reach that left hand up towards the ceiling and then bend that left elbow. Come back to tabletop. Okay, let's set up for downward facing dog. So you can spread your fingers wide, press down through the index and thumb knuckle mound of the palm. Keep the whole palm pressing down into the mat. As you tuck your toes, lift your hips up and back. And just spend some time here in your down dog. If that's not working for your wrists today or your shoulders or just for whatever reason down dog's not feeling good today, you can always take it back to the knees, tabletop, or child's pose. If you are in down dog, relax your head. Let's take one more breath here. Okay, so in downward facing dog, we'll bring our big toes together to touch the back of the mat. You're still in down dog. Inhale, sweep your right leg up and back. Bend the right knee, turn that right knee towards the ceiling. Okay, so we're opening up through the hip. And then re-extend the right leg, sweep the right foot forward between the hands. And we're gonna spin that left foot flat, rise up to warrior two. So we're coming into warrior two. We're gonna stay here for a few moments, but we're gonna do some things with our arms. So arms are spreading wide. The left arm is gonna bend. So left forearm is gonna sweep to the low back, forearm to the low back. And you're gonna see if you can wiggle your fingertips in towards your right thigh hip crease. Okay, so if you take a peek at me, my forearm is snuggling into my low back. My elbow is pinning close to the side of the waist, and I'm extending my right hand forward. And I'm just gonna pause here and breathe, settle into the feet. See if you can slightly tuck the tailbone under. It's not gonna look like a big, huge movement or shift or anything, but just feel the low back press into your forearm. Deep breath in, deep breath out. And let's re-extend that left arm. Take one more breath here in warrior two. And then spin both hands to the top of the mat, frame out the front foot, step back to downward facing dog. Remember, you can always take the knees down, tabletop or child's pose in place of down dog. Wherever you are, we're just gonna take about 3 breaths. If you're in downward facing dog, relax your head so you can start to feel that natural tractioning of the spine. Okay, so let's go to the second side. Big toes touching the back of the mat in your down dog, and then we'll sweep that left leg up and back. We'll just pause for a moment in our 3-legged dog to bend the left knee, point the knee towards the ceiling. The hip starts to open. You might feel a little stretch along that quadricep on the left side. Re-extend that left leg. Pull the left knee towards the nose. Shift forward, plant the foot between the hands. Spin the right foot flat. And then rise on up to warrior two, second side. So settle into your nice deep lunge in your warrior two stance. Settle into your feet. And then we'll add on with the arm. So the right forearm to the low back. See if you can squeeze that elbow towards the side of the waist. And maybe the fingertips, and this is kind of ancillary, doesn't really matter. If the fingertips get to the quadricep hip flexor joint on that left side, fine. Otherwise, what I want you to work on or think about more is pressing the forearm into the low back and pressing the low back into the forearm. So both actions are happening. You're squeezing these two body parts together as you extend the left arm forward. Let's settle into our feet here and find the breath in your warrior two. Let's take one more breath. And then we'll unravel the back arm, extend it. One more breath here in warrior two. And then we'll bring both hands forward to the top of the mat, pivoting into your low lunge, stepping back to downward facing dog. If you're taking down dog, 3 breaths. If you're taking tabletop or child's pose, 3 breaths. Okay, second round of warrior two. We're gonna add on one more little thing and then we'll move on. Right leg's gonna lift. Bend the knee, point the knee towards the ceiling. Just take a beat here, breathe in, breathe out. Can you actively squeeze your heel towards your glute on that right side? And then re-extend the right leg, sweep the foot forward between the hands. Spin that left foot flat, rise on up to warrior two. So same thing here, left forearm to the low back. Press those two body parts together. And you can either stay here if you want to add on. We're going to reach forward with that right hand until right elbow comes alongside the inner right knee and fingertips can reach down towards the floor, or you can rest that forearm up on that right thigh. Okay, so either hand on the inner edge of the knee, elbow on the inner edge of the knee, fingertips reaching towards the floor, or right forearm resting on the thigh. Either way, you're just kind of leaning the body forward, leaning the torso forward, and maybe creating a little bit more sense of push-pull with the forearm into the low back and the low back pressing into the forearm. Stay grounded through your feet here, especially that back leg, it's active. If you're reaching forward in this half bind, start to lift back up through the torso, coming all the way back up through warrior two, extend the arms, deep breath in, and then bringing both hands forward, low lunge, step back to downward facing dog. 3 breaths here, downward facing dog, tabletop or child's pose. Whatever you're doing, relax your jaw, soften the throat. If you're in down dog, relax your head, let it be heavy. And then second side, left leg floats up and back, bend the knee. And then try to actively squeeze that left heel towards the glute. So can you use the hamstring to create that squeeze of the heel towards the glute? Re-extend the left leg, shift forward, left foot, plant it between the hands, spin the right foot flat, rise up to warrior two. Arms spread out, and then right forearm to the low back. And so the elbow snuggles in close to the side of the waist, left arm extends forward, and you either stay right here and work this action, or you reach forward with the torso and the arm, that left forearm can land on the thigh, or the hand can snake down along the inner edge of the knee, fingertips can kind of graze the floor. And if you're going towards the floor, see if you can kind of open the chest towards whatever you're facing, the side wall, the screen, the window, whatever you're facing, whatever wall you're facing. Just take a breath here, bring the awareness into the soles of the feet, stay active through that back foot, press down through the pinky toe edge of the foot. And then we'll start to lift up through the torso and unwind the arms. Warrior two. Both hands forward, framing out the left foot, pivot into your low lunge, and step back to downward facing dog. So 2 breaths here, and then we're going to add on a little flow and then move towards Dhanurasana bow pose. Okay, so from down dog, if that's where you're at, we're going to start to make our way forward to the top of the mat. Coming into Uttanasana, our first forward fold. Bend the knees a lot, let your belly rest on your thighs. And then we're going to start to build Utkatasana tree pose here. So press down through your heels, bend your knees a lot, sink your hips, and then start to lift your chest, and you can extend your arms just back behind you. Okay, so arms are extending back behind you, palms are facing one another, thumbs are pointing down. Can you feel that scapular retraction? So scapula moving in towards the spine. Deep breath in here, press down through the feet, stand up, and reach the arms overhead. And then exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step back to high plank. Lower all the way to the belly in your plank. Come forward onto the elbows for Sphinx. Bend your left knee. Reach back with your left hand. Maybe grab the outer ankle. Press the floor away with the right elbow and forearm. And then come back. Second side, bend the right knee. Reach back with your right hand, grab the outer ankle. Or you're just reaching back, even if that hand to foot connection isn't there, it's okay. Take a breath in, press the floor away with the left elbow, and then come back to Sphinx. Hands underneath the shoulders. Press it up through high plank, downward facing dog. Take one more breath in your downward facing dog. Inhale, sweep your right leg up and back, bend the knee, open the hip, squeeze that right heel towards the glute, and then sweep that right foot forward between the hands. Now this time we're coming into warrior one, so we're just angling the torso straight forward to the top of the mat as we lift up through the torso. I like to heel toe my right foot out to the side. Now in this shape, extend both arms forward for a moment and just feel the scapula spread away from the spine. And now bend both elbows so your elbows squeeze in towards the side of the waist. Okay, now take your left forearm, low back, and then fingertips grab hold of that right elbow crease. So my left forearm's at my low back and I'm just holding on to my right elbow crease with my left fingertips. And it's like I'm reaching forward. It's like I'm holding a tray of cookies in my right hand, so my palm's facing the ceiling, and my scapula is squeezing in towards my spine as I sit into warrior one legs. Deep breath in, deep breath out. We're going to unwind the arms, bring the hands forward and down, step back to downward facing dog, and we're just going to do that on the second side. So the left foot's going to sweep up, bend the knee, squeeze the heel towards the glute, and then sweep that left foot forward, right foot flat, legs. Maybe heel toe that left foot off to the left side a little bit. Both arms, extend them forward, feel the scapula spread, and then bend the elbows, feel the elbows graze the side of the waist. The right forearm is going to come to the low back, and you're just reaching with your fingertips to the inner left elbow. As you face that left palm up, pause here, breathe, settle into your feet, your warrior one stance. And find your breath. Let's unwind the arms, bring the hands forward and down. I'll step back to downward facing dog. 2 breaths in your downward facing dog. Okay, and then we'll come forward to hands and knees, tabletop. This is where if you're going to use your cushion, your pillow, your bolster, this is where it's going to come in handy. So we're going to set up for Dhanurasana. We're going to go through it 2 times. And you can either do one side at a time like we've been practicing when we come to our belly from Sphinx, or you can do 2 rounds of reaching back with both hands. When we reach back with both hands, we're going to reach for the outer ankle, just like we've been practicing all class. Okay, so if you're going to use this prop underneath the rib cage, the target area is the fleshy part of the belly. And if you're coming down into it, you're coming into Sphinx, and I can feel my front hip points resting on the edge of this cushion and the top of the rib cage resting there. So the fleshy part of the belly is what's resting on this cushion. Now I'm in Sphinx here to start. Let's start by bending the right knee. You can feel that hamstring fire. Reach back with the outer, reach back for the outer ankle. And if that hand to foot connection is there, kick the foot into the hand. Okay, so you're actively pressing the foot back into the hand. Okay, and if that's feeling good, bend the left knee, reach back with the left hand, grab hold of the outer ankle. Okay, so Dhanurasana bow pose, here it is, right here. So you're either in Ardha Dhanurasana, right hand holding the outer ankle, or both hands binding outer ankles. Scapular squeezing in towards the spine. Hamstring muscles are active and engaged, and feet are kicking into the hands. Let's start to release, whether you're doing one side or both sides. Come back to Sphinx. Just take a moment here, breathe. Relax your head, your neck. Okay, round 2. So you're either doing your second side or you're doing round 2 of Dhanurasana. Start off with Ardha Dhanurasana, half bow, by bending that left knee. Reach back with the left hand, catch hold of the outer ankle. And if you've got that bind, kick the foot into the hand. You're turning that left chest forward. And then you either stay here and you breathe, or you bend the right knee, reach back, grab hold of the outer ankle. So this isn't the only way to practice Dhanurasana bow pose, but it's typically the most accessible for the shoulders. That's why we're starting here. If you're in Dhanurasana, both hands binding the feet, stay active through hamstrings, kick the feet into the hands, feel the shoulder blades squeeze in towards the spine, and then relax your neck here. That goes for all of us, whether we're doing this half or full. If your right hand is holding the ankle, you're going to bring that right elbow forward to Sphinx, and then left elbow forward to Sphinx. Take a moment here in Sphinx. Deep breath in, deep breath out. And then hands underneath the shoulders, press up to tabletop. Now, if you're using this cushion, turn it so it's vertical. And we're going to take stag legs, all the weight towards that right hip, left knee behind the sole of the right foot. Turn, frame your bolster. If you're using it, you can start to lay the torso belly down onto the bolster. And like I said, you don't need the bolster. Like you can just hang out here in this kind of Sphinx pose without it. But it's kind of nice to have it, I think, because then the floor is just a little bit more accessible to you if you want to lay that right cheek down. We'll take about 3 breaths here, and then we'll change sides. Nice little counter stretch for the lumbosacral joint, the low back. If you're all the way down on your chest, bring your hands underneath the shoulders, press up. And then we'll switch sides. So I'm going to come through tabletop and then move all of my weight to my left hip, send my right knee right behind the sole of my left foot, and then turn. So I'm kind of coming into a twist here, framing out my bolster if I'm using it. And you can either stay up here on the hands or walk down to the forearms. And then you can stay on the forearms, or you can lower the chest and the left cheek towards the mat or your cushion. And we'll take 3 breaths here. If you're all the way down on the chest, bring the hands underneath the shoulders, press up. You can move that cushion out of the way. We'll turn all the way onto our back. And if you are using that cushion, it might feel nice underneath the knees. As you lie on back, we'll take a 1-minute Shavasana here. Please feel free. If there's anything else you need to do before you head to your back, feel free to do that. Take care of yourself. Hugging the knees into the chest or happy baby always feels pretty good after back bending. But sometimes stillness, just heading right into Shavasana, can be really sweet as well. As you settle in here, let's take a collective breath, inhaling through the nose. And then open your mouth, exhale. And just allow the breath to move in and out through the nose if you can. Please stay longer in Shavasana if you can, if time allows. If you need to move on with your day, just start to wiggle fingertips and toes. Maybe stretch the arms overhead. And then coming off to a side, pressing into the hands, we'll just take our 3 breath cycles. That cyclical breathing where we inhale, maximum capacity into the lungs, a slight pause at the top, 1 more sip of air in, and then a long exhale all the way out. We'll do that for 3 rounds. So sitting up nice and tall, relax the shoulders. Let's begin breathing in. Pause when you're full of air, and then take 1 more sip of breath in. And exhale, let it go. When you're empty of air, begin inhaling again. When you're full of air, slight pause, 1 more sip of air in. Exhale, let that go. Last round of breath on your own. Let go of that breath. Invitation to join me, folding the hands together at the heart, bowing the chin to the chest, taking a moment to honor your effort and your practice with reverence and gratitude to all of our teachers, past, present, future, to the teacher within your own heart. Namaste, yogis. All right, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you so much for being here. Feel free to reach out with any questions or comments, and take care of yourselves.